In today's video, we are back to testing the Plus P Plus 44 Magnum Grizzly versus the Underwood. The Grizzly is 355 grain, the Underwood is 340 grain. And today, I want to be trying out the soil I have on my property. I say soil, it's mostly clay. It's a very sandy clay. It should be fairly tough to get through. I've got these narrow, tall, 1 gallon containers. We're going to be shooting them. I've got a couple of them there. And then also to see how effective the round is if it passes through. I've got some old boards up there. They're old, but they're still strong. They are a painted board. Right now they're soaking wet. So they're wet. They're still fairly strong. They are older. I'll show them in a second. We'll shoot one of those first. I am going to do a baseline test first with a 9mm with FMJs first. Let me show that. And this is the baseline ammo we're going to try. It's just some Wolf 115 grain junky target ammunition. This was the hardest part about setting up, was just finding this ammo and all my ammo. I have not bought target ammunition in over 10 years. It's been a long time. I don't believe in buying target ammunition. You get to find out how well your gun shoots with this, but not your defensive ammunition. I don't see the point of buying hundreds of rounds, shooting hundreds of rounds of this through your gun, and a single box of target or defensive ammunition. And that brings up, in my last video, I had said that the buffalo bore was expensive. Obviously, if you're buying one box, it's not that bad. But for me, when I buy ammunition, this is my target ammunition. This is the ammunition I'm going to shoot, and I'm going to carry in my gun. This right here is 45 auto rim. When COVID hit, this was my favorite caliber. This is what I carried in my Smith & Wesson 625 45 auto. This ammunition is hard to get as it is, and when COVID hit, it was nearly impossible. And I found an old, like little online mom and pop shop. Like the website was like designed in the 90s, and they had it in stock. And I wasn't just going to order it just in case they didn't have it. So I called them up and I asked them, "Do you have this?" And they said, "Oh yeah, we've never sold any of it." Basically, as long as they've carried it, they've not sold any of it. They had 2 cases, 400 rounds of it. And I said, "Can I buy all of it?" And so they sold me all of it. And I asked for a discount. So I said, "Can I get?" They said they'll give it to me for what they paid for it, which is still nearly $40 a box. After tax and shipping, it was $800, over $800 for this ammunition. And again, like I said, I use this target ammunition, and I've tried not to shoot it up because 45 auto rim is hard to get. And in that gun, I can shoot 45 auto or 45 ACP supers through that gun. And this is basically 45 super ammo. So at least I get a little bit of practice there and I can save this. But I've still shot almost all of it up. I think I have only like 3 or 4 boxes of this left since COVID. So again, buffalo bore is very expensive in that regard, how I order it. The reason I'm testing it is I put in a comment on my video that my berm there that is about 8 feet wide gets a little bit narrower as it goes up. So it might be 6 to 7 feet wide. After about close to 100 rounds of these in a similar spot in my berm, they've punched straight through that berm. I'll show that in a minute. But they've punched through, and it's full of rocks and everything in that berm. So it's really impressive. And I'm just curious, how many rounds did it take to punch through that berm? Was that the first 20? Did it take all 100? I'm not sure. So I've made this up, got a couple of these ready to go. We're going to shoot into these, and I want to see how effective the round is after it passes through that. Now this is what we're working with today. Here's all these boards I've got. About, let's see, there are about 7 of them. I think the bottom I have 8 boards through here. Let's back up here. Got this little stand. We're going to put the soil on here. These little 1 gallon jugs. They're a little bit more narrow, taller jugs here. There it is, full of the soil. But again, like I was saying, I was actually shooting a little lower. That was a different shot up here. We were shooting a little bit lower about in this spot. We'll go all around my berm here. All the way through the back side. Those rounds were punching through. And they were actually grazing this tree. A little hard to see, we're covered in stuff. They're actually grazing the bark of this tree. So they were still coming through with some pretty good force. Very impressive stuff. Okay. All right, first we're going to be shooting the 9mm first. If I didn't say, this is a 5-inch 9mm. This is a Beretta 92. I actually built this gun for free. I have no money in this gun besides like the expensive G10 grips I put on here, some of the little Wilson Combat parts, but the base of this gun cost me nothing. I'll put that in a different video because it'll be a little bit to talk about. But yeah, let's get shooting. There's the entrance hole. There is the exit. Punch through. Of course, we had to hit dead center of the boards here. Oh, wow. Oh, there it is. It wasn't even passing through boards. See how hot it is? Not hot at all. Look at that. There we go. Yeah, so it didn't have a ton of energy after passing through. And I can shoot this again. I'll just probably turn it sideways. So there we go. That's the 9mm. Didn't do too great. Actually, let's shoot that again. All right, test 2 with the 9mm. I'm going to aim maybe a little lower, see if I can hit in a board instead of going in between the boards. All right, there's our entrance. There's our exit. And of course, now we hit a little low. There it is. There's a round. It really doesn't have much energy left in it. Just passing to the bottom there. Hopefully we can catch the 44 Magnums. All right, now we're going to shoot the Underwood 340 grain plus P plus 44 Magnum. I have angled the boards back a little bit because you probably can't tell on camera, but I'm actually angled downhill. So I angled the boards back a little bit. Hopefully that round will pass the boards a little bit straighter this time. There we are. That is a lot more energetic than the 9mm. There's our entrance. There's our exit. There we hit on the boards. Oh, wow. It's right there. Look at that. Looks like it actually turned around. There it is. You still see some of the black coating on it. All right. That did not go very far. Let's test the Grizzly. All right, now we're going to test the Grizzly 355 grain plus P plus 44 Magnum. Yeah, I prefer the recoil impulse on that Grizzly. It's more of a push instead of a quick snap of the 340 grain Underwood. It's kind of like the difference between a 9mm and a 45 ACP. There's the entrance. There's the exit. Kind of a small exit. I think that's my entrance hole right there. Oh, already better than the Underwood. Wow, if that's that, it's soaring. Holy crap. I think we have a clear winner here. I think we figured out which round made it through my berm. Well, I'm going to have to get a shovel out for this one. All right, there it is. I have finally found it. I dug, if you can't tell here, nearly a foot into my berm. And there it is. That is insanely impressive. That is, wow. That's a good round. That went so straight. I'm blown away. Like I said, I figured out which round must have been punching through my berm there. Because that thing soared straight. I cannot believe that. That really outperformed the Underwood. Since I've still got the these jugs that are in pretty good condition. I think I'm going to do it again. I'm going to shoot a round of the Underwood again just to see if maybe that was a fluke. I'm going to shoot another round of this and see how it goes, because right now this is a clear winner, especially if you live in Alaska, and, if you live up in Upper Washington, and you're worried about grizzlies, or in Alaska you're worried about moose and stuff. This is the winner right here. All right, now that I got my burn back together, I'm going to shoot the Grizzly ammunition again first, the 355 grain Grizzly. I put 2 jugs up this time of the clay or the sand, soil, whatever it is. I put that up, and let's see if we can slow it down a little bit before it hits those boards. See here, entrance in the first one, exit, entrance in the second one, the exit, and now that doesn't look too straight. And I'm guessing this is our hole. Dang, I might have hit this rock I put here to hold the boards up. Let's see. Hit a little low. Oh, that's the rock. Oh man, are we gonna have another repeat? Dang it. Alright, looks like I'm gonna have to get the shovel again. Alright, well, I wasn't able to find this one. I did find its gas check about a foot into this. I'm about 1.5 feet at least. You can see where it blew through this stump, and this rock was in there, and it broke the rock. Yeah, these things do not care. These are very impressive. I'm going to load up. We'll try the Underwood again just to give it a second shot. But right now, these Grizzlies, they're kicking ass. Okay, here goes another round of the Underwood 340 grain. Yeah, those are a much snappier round. I think you can probably, no, they're just a snappier round. That should be my entrance. Where's the exit? That's the exit. It already went off, veered off a little bit. There's that one, exit. And I'm not even 100% sure. Did it go low again? Huh. That it? That's it right there. Wow. That is not nearly as impressive as the Grizzly. That one barely hit any of the boards. It definitely has a much softer anatomy to the lead here. Curious. Okay, yeah, it looks like the gas check fell off. I was about to say, I didn't know if that was gas checked. Yeah. All right. All right, so the Grizzly pretty much outperformed the Underwood in virtually every way possible. A part of me is actually quite glad about that. If you guys haven't seen on the Buffalo Boar YouTube channel, Tim Sundles actually just interviewed an ex-employee from Underwood, and he had some pretty awful things to say about the company. Some things that were pretty terrible. One, that something I'm very sensitive to is just mistreating your employees. I highly suggest you go listen to that video. It's almost an hour long. One of the biggest things that is also just very discouraging is the fact that you kind of just figure that Underwood was copying Buffalo Boar, but you still assume they do their own research and development. However, I was completely wrong. They were talking about how Underwood was ordering boxes of Buffalo Boar's ammunition. They were pulling bullets out of their casings. They were sending out the powder to be lab tested just so they could buy the same powder that they used. They weren't doing any of their own research and development. They weren't buying guns. They weren't testing them. So it's very disappointing. That somebody like myself that's bought tens of thousands of rounds. I even brought out some of this ammo here. that I was going to use for another video here. These are 200 round cases just to show how much ammunition I buy from Underwood. This is Underwood ammo here. This is 45 Super. I have a lot of these cases of ammunition. I mean, tons of these cases. And it's a real shame because unfortunately, I don't think I'll be ordering their ammunition anymore. And this goes to show how much they don't test their ammunition. You know, we were shooting the same media here, and the Grizzly, you can see just how well the anatomy of the lead has held up, or the hard cast. It's completely intact. While these are flattened, I mean, these look like jacketed soft point ammunition. And it's kind of funny that, you know, I brought out this box double tap. These are jacketed hollow point ammunition and or jacketed soft point ammunition. And in this gun, I usually carry 3 of these and 3 of the Underwood, simply because I want the jacketed soft points, you know, for close up. And if I have to do barrier penetration, or it's a large and dangerous animal I'm dealing with, then I have the Underwood. So I was basically carrying the same ammunition for how soft this ammunition is. That's a real shame. It did not penetrate well, and that's kind of the whole point for hardcast. Yeah, it's a real damn shame. And then, like I said, that 3 times I had the trigger lock up with this gun. I don't know why. I didn't see any overpressure signs. The cases, something I had thought about is maybe the cases under pressure were being pressed back into the breech face of the revolver. But I'm not 100% sure why it would have done that. But again, I've shot plenty of this double tap. I've now shot a couple boxes of this Grizzly, and I've never had the trigger lock up the same as the Underwood. So that alone, again, just how poor performance we got out of this. The velocity was decent, but yeah, I'm not impressed with this at all. If I want a hard cast round to penetrate, I'm going with the Grizzly. So I will not be buying this Underwood anymore. I probably will not be buying any more Underwood anymore, especially in light of the video that Buffalo Boar put out. Now, I'm not calling for a boycott. If you know, don't care about that stuff and you want to continue to buy the ammunition, do so. That's your ammunition. That's your money. You buy what you want to buy. I'm just saying what I'm going to be doing. I will not be buying this ammunition anymore. I'm kind of torn on even testing it for my channel. It's a shame. I was going to do a video. I have a 5-inch Smith & Wesson 625 and 45 auto. I was going to shoot the 45 Super in it. I've got a 5-inch 1911. I also have a 10-inch braced pistol that I was going to shoot all the same 45 Super and do like a little bit of a series out of it. But now I feel like I don't really want to test it. I think it's a bit hypocritical for me to say that I'm not going to buy this ammo and then do a whole series on testing it. But let me know what you guys think. Should I continue to test the ammunition? I have it, so it's not like I'm giving Underwood any more of my money. Again, they probably won't miss me anyways. I'm somebody that only waited for deal days they would put out. You know, they were already 20-30% cheaper than Buffalo Boar. Paired with their sale days, the ammunition would be 30-40% even cheaper then. And then they would do free shipping if you spent, you know, $300, $400, $500, whatever it was. Like they just had, I believe it was $499 shipping to get free shipping, and a lot of the ammo was on sale. I partook in that, and I spent more than $500 on their ammunition. So I will not be doing that again. They will not have my business. As impressed I am with Grizzly, you can tell they did their own research and development, unlike Underwood. You can just see in the performance of the ammunition, it was much more stable. It penetrated completely straight. Yeah, I'm very impressed. And then also, like I said, the recoil impulse. The recoil impulse alone makes me want to carry this ammunition more. This is a much more snappy load, and I feel like I can keep on target better with the Grizzly ammunition. That was a big one. So even if they perform the same, even if these Underwood, these weren't softer rounds, I'd still go with the Grizzly just for the recoil impulse alone. And now hearing what a terrible company they are, at least what the owner is, yeah, they will not be getting my business in the future. But again, thanks for watching my video. I'll see you guys in the next one.